I think the Heat are winning the championship. I've seen enough. I think this team's winning it all. They kind of strike me as like the Giants, and I'm not just saying because I'm a Giants fan. They kind of strike me like the 07 or the 11 Giants, right? A team that like gets hot in the playoffs and just like beats everyone on the way to a championship. I don't know if there's a good NBA parallel. A lazy comparison, because it's another 8 seed, but maybe like the 99 Knicks in the lockout-shortened season that were an 8 seed, beat the Heat in the first round on the Allen Houston buzzer beater in Game 5 in Miami, went to the finals and obviously got waxed by Tim Duncan, David Robinson, and the Spurs. But I don't even know if there's like a good NBA comp. Not in our lifetime, at least, right? I don't think one exists for what the Heat are doing right now.
No. And it's, people like we've had lower seeds really rarely make like deep runs into the tournament. We've seen it a little bit when the Rockets won their second title. They were the 6 and they ended up, and it was like, oh my God, like they were the 6 and they won it. Like for 30 years, we talked about that team. It was like, oh my God, they were the 6 and they won. Yeah. Like this team almost got eliminated by like Nikola Vucevic like 6 weeks ago in a play-in game. And the Allen Houston team you mentioned, like there's, and you're not wrong for bringing it up because we don't have any comparisons. So like might as well go to that one. Shorter season. So like less time to figure out who the good teams are. And then for the first round was a best of 5. So like, it's all of these, there were all of these reasons why a team could make it a little bit further because you could have a little more variance because there were now everything's so locked in now. Like the play-in teams are at an incredible disadvantage. Every round is best of 7. This regular season is long and brutal. And I don't think there's a historical comparison. And that's what makes this honestly, like, I didn't bet this series. I have a little bit of Tatum conference finals MVP, but that's what makes this really fun. It's almost like, Red Sox Yankees 04 or something where it's like, well, if they just win the first one, then this guy pitches game 5 and then whatever. It's like, except this team is brutal. Like the team that was the minus 500 favorite has a terrible coach, and it's almost been like over documented. You almost can't document it enough, I guess. Their superstar player, we've done this again. It sounds like we do it every day. It's just like their best player isn't as good as the best player on any of the other teams. And when it's that and the coach is like this, then that's kind of problematic. And it's also worth noting, the Heat have basically transformed themselves in this postseason into some combination of like last year's team with some better additions, and they're amazing. And they're like, it shouldn't actually be Miami blew the doors off Giannis. Like, it's like, forget this series. They crushed them. And Giannis got hurt in game 1 and missed a couple games, but like that isn't one of their loss. Definitely played in game 5. So it just, I've never seen a team in the NBA, other sports I've seen this all the time. I don't think I've ever seen a team be rated this highly with this many question marks. Boston, coach, best player. And I don't think I've ever seen a team in the NBA enter the playoffs being this bad and then just do this. Miami. And they're playing each other, which is like part of the reason why we're here. But it's just like it's the path to get to this point has been so weird.
At the end of game 2 against Boston, I was like, this team's going to win it all. Like they look to me, and this is narrative-y for sure, but 30 plus years of watching sports, and this does not mean I'm going to win my bet or that I am a great bettor. I am definitely could be wrong here. Just from the years I've watched sports, like I watch this team and I'm like, who's beating them? How are they losing? How are they going to lose? And I guess the answer could be because Jokic is the best player in the series and Malone's a really good coach and Denver has home court. And Denver was the best team all season. So yes, of course, like the Heat could lose. I just watch them and I think like, I just don't think they're going to. I don't think they're going to lose. And I felt that way. And I bet them in game 1 and game 2 of the series. Like, just like didn't think they were going to win those games. I just thought like the point spread was too big, like a little bit, not disrespectful to Miami, but felt Miami could keep the game close. Look, the spread last night was ridiculous. Thought Miami would at the very least keep it really close, if not win the game. After last night, I don't know, man. I think this team's winning the title. I don't see them losing. And this is Denver's, and they're about to dispatch of the Lakers and making it look pretty easy here. Miami's kind of like been through it, man. Lost in the finals a couple of years ago, obviously, to the Lakers in the bubble. Went 7 last year against the Celtics. If Butler makes that shot, they probably lose to the Warriors, but who knows what happens in an NBA Finals here. It feels like Miami's a little more battle-tested, too. Spo's awesome. Butler's awesome. The undrafted players, to use a line that you just used, Ken, they're all on one right now. I don't know. Just the feeling that I get is that this team is not going to lose. So take that for what it's worth. Maybe they get swept by Denver. Maybe the Celtics come back to win the next 4. Just that's the feeling that I get, and I felt it at the end of game 2 when they pulled away to eventually win that game. Just like, I just think this team's going to win it all. They look like a championship winning team to me.
Question I asked a couple weeks ago, like, what do you value? Like, do you value the regular season? The last 60 years, you'd valued the crap out of the regular season. That's all you would value almost in making a finals price. This year doesn't seem to be working that way. So that's really interesting, that push and pull of what you value the most. And then the other thing is like, well, also like what kind of team usually wins the finals? Like, what is their best player usually? And best player sure as hell looks a lot like Jokic a lot of the time. And so like he's the best player in the series by far, and Butler's awesome, and it's not insulting to him. Jokic is the best player in the league. So like, that's okay. Jimmy Butler can be the second best player in the playoffs, and that's still awesome. But like Jokic is the best player in the series. The Heat do not own the same coaching mismatch that they did against Tibbs and Joe Mazzulla against Malone, who's not like, Spoelstra, but is at least competent. Like, at least, also there aren't even that many like levers to push with Denver. It's like, yeah, our starting lineup, this is like the best starting lineup. This is what we do. So the argument that we had was basically like, how big a favorite would Denver be? And like my first guess was something like Denver minus 220, something like that, because they had home court in the series. Like, they're not like, for people who are like Miami's the best, so it's going to be really close. It's not going to be really close. Like, Denver's going to be favored. And, but you have to remember Boston was just like minus 600. So if Denver's like minus 200, what an incredible compliment to Miami, and like finally getting like some, like, but that's like a short price on a team that was just like plus $1 million against the Boston Celtics. So I think like 2 something, I think makes a bunch of sense. I don't know how high a 2 it is. I don't know if it's 200. That's kind of the range I think that we're talking about here. And then, we can talk about what we want to do if that's what it is, or would it get bet up or whatever. But it's a classic, really interesting betting market because it's what do you value? The Nuggets were much better than the Heat all regular season. They have the best player this season. But the Heat are on one right now. They're the best team in the playoffs. And so how do you balance those two things?
I actually found myself last night feeling a little bad for Joe Mazzulla. You said earlier in the show as an aside that you do not feel bad for Joe Mazzulla.
No. Guy's making millions of dollars to coach a team into the ground. Why do I feel bad for him?
I just, like, he sucks, obviously. Like, there's no doubt. But I mean, like, can the team have some pride in being professionals last night? But like,
can they help him just like a little bit?
I mean, we're talking like what, and maybe they turn it around to maybe like Wales, right? And maybe they come back, win the series, at least make it a series. Like, you can't have a more gutless effort than the Celtics did last night on Sunday night. And you can say the coach sucks, and I'm not going to argue with you. The coach does suck. Also, like, you're professionals. Like, this is not college. Like, Jason Tatum's eligible for $350 million. Jaylen Brown's eligible for $290 million extensions this summer. Like, have some pride, guys. Like, go out there and at least, like, try to win. Like, don't mail it in like they did last night. Like, that's, like, Mazzulla stinks, and he may have lost the locker room. Also, these are grown men. Like, go out there and have some pride. That's why I felt bad. And then he took the bullet for them last night. Like, I don't have them ready to play. What he should have said was, I stink, but also so do they. We're all terrible. Then I would have respected him.
I suck, and if I'm going down, I'm bringing you guys with me. Let me tell you about these guys, and just start rattling off stories. Then he would never get a job ever again. But, I'm with you. We're sort of both right. Like, I don't feel bad for him. And also, like, it's the NBA. Like, the players have to bear, like, so much of the responsibility for what's happening. It's just like, like, if Jokic doesn't win the finals, it's Michael Malone's fault. Like, it's just, like, it's Jokic. Like, it's just, I'll just be fair. Like, Giannis lost a series to Miami. Bud got fired. Like, I just, it's, what are we saying?